Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues. With this video, we discuss my thoughts on episode 11 of the anime series Noragami Aragoto. And this was an effing intense, all kinds of intense episode. Just action-packed, lots of character-driven plot. And it was amazeballs. Like, I was just, like, completely on the edge of my seat the entire time. You know, like, one of my speculations has been if there is, like, a master manipulator, a mastermind behind all of this, whether they are manipulating Ebisu as well as, you know, in this case, Yato and Bishamon, and pretty much everyone in play, you know, even down to Hiyori, if that guy that was making moves on her relates back to somebody, you know, manipulating the events in the higher echelons of the gods or not. You know, it remains to be seen who is behind all of this and what their reasoning is. It could even still be Ebisu at this point. You know, he could be sort of just playing dumb. But whomever, if there is a master manipulator, whomever that person is, god, human, or otherwise, wow, did they really luck out in this episode. Bishamon went into the underworld to try to bring Yato back out. And we had Ebisu saying, you know, he went in to save me. Somebody's got to go in and save him. He's got Hiyori and Yukine waiting on the outside. Bishamon feels moved by this. You know, Daikoku and Kofuku are coming into play to make it possible. Open a vent, since the first one closed so rapidly. Interesting that, you know, it just seems like all of this stuff is plot convenience for whoever the big bad might be. It's uber convenient now that Yato and Bishamon are seemingly trapped in the underworld with the events of this episode. And I find it also quite curious that Izanami is referring to Yato personally, almost as though, you know, like the line of dialogue where she's like, "My dear Yato, I finally caught you," whatever it is that she says when she has Yato held captive. Could it be that she's pinpointedly looking at Yato because that's whom she's supposed to be after? That's whom she was set about, you know, whoever is the deal maker here. How do we know this person hadn't gone into the underworld and said, "I'm going to hand deliver you the Yato god"? And so now that's the chief amongst her sort of focus. I don't know. I honestly don't know. It is still rife for debate and speculation. Who is behind this? Who might it be? If anyone is actually behind this, you know. But I find it just utmost convenient for the nefarious dealings going on that you have Yato and Bishamon by the end of this episode trapped. Oh, and what's more, as Ebisu comes out of his little, you know, nap there on the side of the road, just barely having made it out of the underworld himself through the vent he opened, he now says, "Oh, and by the way, well, we've sent Yato down into the underworld, we've sent Bishamon down into the underworld. We see how badass Bishamon is in being willing to sacrifice, not sacrifice herself, but I mean being willing to risk the sacrifice of herself to go in there and try to save Yato, somebody she had spurned for centuries. And, you know, we see coming to the fore in her dialogue that she understands she's been holding a grudge unfairly. In the moment, it was something to make her, you know, prompt her to keep living and to keep moving on and to keep evolving for the greater good. And the fact that she admits to it, I mean, it almost feels like there was a distinction in people referencing this season, that it would be the Bishamon arc, and then it would be the following arc, the Ebisu arc, whatever it is. And it still feels like a through line, like it's all one story. It doesn't feel like it's two separate stories, you know, one concurrent to the other, or one after the other. It feels like it's all flowing from one to the next, with Kugaha showing up and everything like that, and Bishamon being very integral to the plot, willing to, you know, again, not sacrifice herself, but take that risk to go into the underworld to try to get Yato back out again. And Ebisu lays the bomb drop. "Oh, we also got to send in you, the human girl, Hiyori. You're the only one who's going to make this possible for them to come back out again." How convenient for the baddie of whatever, you know, these machinations are, whatever the purposes are. It seems like the chief purpose amongst them, if I'm to just look at this at face value, is get Yato, Bishamon was just like a lucky strike, but get her out of the way as well, and now Hiyori as well. Bury them all For what purpose? Is there perhaps in the grand design of, the higher echelons of the gods, maybe they've been watching all of this. Maybe they've been watching, much as we, the anime viewer, the events and the adventures and misadventures of Yato, the Yato god, Hiyori, Yukine, and all of that stuff, since even the first season. And maybe there is a perceived threat with a bridge between the near and far shore, that being Hiyori, incarnate. She is a threat. She is a walking, living, breathing threat. And maybe what the gods are trying to put into motion here, whatever the master manipulator behind all of this, the father figure, maybe it's a matter of trying to once and for all break ties between the near and far shore. Now, I don't think all the gods would be necessarily in line with that, because a lot of them, they exist and they subsist just sheerly out of humanity's constantly praying to them and wishing to them and acknowledging them and being aware of their existence. So surely, there has to be gods among all the echelons who would not be down for that, because their existences would be wiped out, probably, presumably. It seems like whomever, if there is a figure manipulating all of this, it would be laying waste, enacting genocide on all of this far shore existence. But that could be well beyond what's actually going on here. It could be something much more personal, deep down to an individual, Abisu, or whomever this father god figure is and everything like that. Could be Abisu. Maybe they are one and the same. Who knows? But I just find it like it's completely pitched once again, much akin to the earlier episode where we first had Kugaha in Bishamon's realm, laying the smackdown, having those phantoms start attacking and consuming her regalia. It felt like all was lost. And this feels like one step ahead of all being lost again for whomever is behind this. And speaking of Kugaha, mad shock and delight and surprise that he showed up at this point and was trying to wipe the floor with Yukine, trying to get into his psyche and psych him out and break him down. And I loved that Yukine confided in Hiyori, and Hiyori was the through line for him to finally expose the truth of what he's been feeling. There's a level of jealousy, but there's even more so a level of worry that Yato might leave him behind for Nora. I love seeing this come to fruition because he is that much stronger. With that admittance, he suddenly turns around and sends Kugaha flying. Here is a mother trucker who destroys this humongous tree trying to go after Yukine and Hiyori. And suddenly, Yukine turns around and sends this mother trucker flying. Oh my god, I was on the edge of my seat. Kugaha, until we are revealed to whomever is behind this, whoever the instigator is, Kugaha, it's like, I want a figure of Kugaha. He's like the Sephiroth of Noragami. Just a penultimate villain. He's like the Joker to Batman. He's like Sephiroth to Cloud. He's like, Lex Luthor to Superman. He is such a chief villain. His maniacal nature in this episode, the way he is laughing psychotically as he's trying to delve into the mind of Yukine and break his ass down. This guy is off his rocker, but there is still a level of intellect behind his motivations. In some essence, he thinks he's right. He thinks he's righteous. Calling the Noras, exposing why they are so fearsome amongst the gods, because they aren't beholden to one name alone. And when they have multiple names, their power can be almost exponential. And he's reveling in that. He's reveling in being one of them. And it's just that much crazier because of it. He legitimately thinks he is righteous. He is the right amongst all. And he gets that devilish pleasure out of trying to not only harm regalia and fellow gods that might not fall in line with his thinking, or, what have you, far shore denizens that don't conform to his thinking. he gets that sadistic pleasure in breaking them down psychologically as well as physically. And for that, it's like, my God, this guy is one of those like uber villains that you will not easily forget. And if a hero is to be judged by the quality of his villain, well, you know, Yato has already proven himself, and Bishamon has already proven herself. And a lot of these characters are beloved. But that much more so when you see what they have to fight, what they have to contend with. And this is only a stepping stone to a potentially greater foe at this stage in the game. And it's just like, damn. Oh my God, this was a crazy episode. Just crazy, crazy, crazy episode. You now got Bishamon throwing down with Izanami. You got Yato with a newfound sense of power, but is it enough? In the revelation, you know, Bishamon shares with him that right up there, right above us, Hiyori and Yukine are waiting for you. Like, he has newfound, you know, reborn power within him, but is it enough to escape? Apparently not. Because Ibisu, right then and there, like I say, he's like laying on the roadside. Oh, now you, human girl, it's your turn to go in there. It's your turn to risk yourself. And like, what the hell is gonna happen? Like, seriously. Is Hiyori destined to die, to sacrifice herself? I feel like, you know, there's so much risk for sacrificial acts here, and we still, you know, it's left to speculation to know why it's all happening. But it's mad exciting, and I just can't wait. I'm waiting with bated breath every single episode to figure it out, to find out who's behind it, why they're doing it. Maybe I'm right thinking, you know, the gods want to forever detach from the near shore. Maybe it's something down to an individual with that ideology. Maybe it's someone who wants all-consuming power. Whatever the case, it couldn't be that much more like just on the precipice of excitement and urgency. Like, this the momentum of this episode, of this show, of the entirety of season 2, it has been a steady momentum, and it's been escalating every step of the way. And we are at the peak right now. Bring on the next one. Bring on the mother trucking next one. Because I can't wait to see. And, yeah. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of this episode of Noragami Aragoto, if you've seen it. If your mind is racked and you are pitched to excitement and you are just feeling that momentum, that raw, just visceral emotion and excitement and even concern to a degree, because like I say, you got Bishamon going up against Izanami, who is said to be pretty damn strong and undefeated, you know. Yato down in there as well. It looked almost like Yato was completely gone for good. Seems like Izanami is pointedly looking at him as though maybe that was, you know, the impetus behind her trying to go after Yato. And the machinations behind all of it have yet to be revealed. We've had that stepping stone villain of Kugaha, and Ibisu now challenging Hiyori. It's your turn next. Like, holy crap. So yeah, let me know in the comments below what you thought of this episode, and if you're loving it like I am. If not, our POVs can certainly disagree. Love having the conversation, even if we're coming at it from two different directions. Just love having that conversation about great shows like this. So otherwise, that'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.